Jimmy Kimmel's jest lands him in the hot seat amidst serious political storms.
Almost 80 and she's younger than I am. It was not by any stretch of the definition a call to assassination. I understand that the First Lady had a stressful experience over the weekend, and probably every weekend is pretty stressful in that house. And also, I agree that hateful and violent rhetoric is something we should reject. I think a great place to start to dial that back would be to have a conversation with your husband about it.
Well, that's late-night host Jimmy Kimmel defending himself from Backlash, insisting he meant no harm when referring to First Lady Melania Trump as an expectant widow. Now, the comment is coming 2 days before the third assassination attempt on the president's life, and this one was at the White House Correspondents' Dinner. But not everyone considers those remarks to be jokes. The New York Post making this story today's cover page, referring to the talk host as a, quote, Kimwit. And today, a spokesman for First Lady Melania Trump doubled down on calls for Kimmel to be fired, telling the New York Post, quote, our community should not tolerate violent political rhetoric at the expense of the First Family or any of our nation's political leaders, regardless of party affiliation. And Kimmel continues to play these disrespectful and dangerous games, knowing very well that he is protected by the ABC network. It's enough. ABC should draw the line. Yes, Emily, look, when you listen to his recitation of the remarks and his clarifications, I did not hear an apology, much in the same way there was that pretty much no apology, or at least very subtle one, in the wake of his egregious comments about the assassination of Charlie Kirk.
Yeah. No, I was thinking two things about this. One is that grace is free. And we know we have the ultimate grace because we've accepted Lord Jesus as our Savior. But meaning grace in the public square is free too. And it would have been very elegant for him to say, I'm sorry. And that would have been free. And it would have taken no energy. And that is true and unrelated from his explanation, which when I heard that, I was like, okay. I mean, I still think it's a poor taste joke. I still don't think it's funny. But especially in light of what happened after that, and especially in light of people's construction of it, their interpretation of it, where then he had to come out and say, no, I didn't mean that, then why couldn't you just say, sir, hey guys, I want you to know I meant it because of the age difference, which what age difference is he even talking about? I don't even, it's barely anything. And then I wish he had just said simply, but I am so sorry. I'm so sorry that you all went through this assassination attempt again. First Lady, I'm sorry, I apologize. He could have just done that. But instead for him to turn that around and then, not do that, but then also say, and it starts with your head, like, I am disgusted by his lack of decorum and by that sort of corrosiveness inside that the First Lady cited. And my second observation is I would really appreciate if any former First Lady would release a statement and just say, I stand in support of this First Lady. Because that absence of commentary in the way of many... Michelle Obama is on her podcast all the time. We've heard her thoughts on a lot of things. Can she just spare one sentence in support of this First Lady who has been through so much, who has a target on her in the public square and out? It is horrifyingly atrocious how she has been treated. I would love for there to be some support coming out of her mouth.
For her to actually go high.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, for her to actually go high. It's a great point. Harris, at base, regardless of his explanation, you have him joking about a president dying and a First Lady being happy about it.
So, to Emily's point, he says he thought it was funny because of the age difference. And to Paul Morrow, who, we have on the couch all the time, former NYPD detective, and he's also an attorney and a great political analyst now, he said, no, it's giving widow. It's giving the actual words that it's saying. It's giving death. It's giving assassination. It's, and I thought that was so present of him to say because that's what I was thinking. And I thought, well, maybe I'm the only one who didn't get the joke. But for Jimmy Kimmel, grace is not free. I dug into the numbers. He's looking for clicks. The whole baseline of and I don't want to overplay this because Greg Gutfeld works for Fox. Maybe I should. But the whole baseline of nighttime comedy, TV, late night, has really lost a lot of viewers. And among them, Jimmy Kimmel. And when he made that off-color joke that he said also was funny about Charlie Kirk and didn't apologize for it, but cried about it, and then finally did what he had to do to get back on TV, his ratings started going up. And he now sits atop the cabal that is not Greg Gutfeld.
Yes.
He's got almost twice everybody's ratings. And so my guess is that the grace isn't free for him because it costs him potential audience members who might be as radical as he is. So he's going to stick with it. He's like if Hakeem Jeffries, most powerful person among Democrats in the House, had a late night. He's going to double down.
Yeah, you know, Charles, that's exactly right. I just want to remind everyone it was September, those Kirk comments, where he said the MAGA gang is desperately trying to characterize the kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them. He was suspended briefly. To Harris's point, it was this tearful non-apology apology where he never used the word sorry. But you'd think with that in recent memory, you'd be more careful going forward.
You would think that, but it's just not even about entertainment. You know, it's just a farce that it's a late night talk entertainment show. It hasn't been that in a long time. It's a political arm. It's a political wing of the Democratic Party. And I think what we have to think about is just how these manifestos are sounding more and more like left-wing sound bites. Like these, you know, the arguments that these particular shooter can make that echo what you might hear on a late-night talk show or even in the halls of Congress, then you have to wonder, you know, what kind of bait are we putting, you know, what are we baiting our society with? And we always say this, everyone should step back, you know, but they don't even say that anymore, right? There was a time you say, okay, everyone should step back. We should take a look at this and see what we all can kind of do. Common ground, low-hanging fruit, something we could agree on that's with respect to returning to a certain type of civility amongst us. You could be political opponents. We've always had two political parties. We've, you know, had three at one point. But where this is going is that it feels like you throw out this ammunition and the wrong people get their hands on it, and it's dangerous.
Maria, and some on the left, like David Axelrod, saying this was a tasteless joke. So there is some acknowledgement.
I agree. I agree with Emily. It was tasteless. It was also not funny. And he would have been the bigger person by apologizing. I think two other things. The first is, it is interesting to me that there's reports now that the FEC chairman is investigating potential licenses, or could be investigating potential licenses based on, and we've heard this in the past, Brendan Carr has been very open about how he is using his position to look into, you know, comments about President Trump. It boggles the mind that people in the Republican Party who ran on being free speech absolutists, you can say whatever you want, even if it's offensive, suddenly now don't like free speech when they're offended by it. It's like free speech, the legal line is not whether it's offensive.
But free speech is against the government. Free speech is not an assassination joke about the First Lady who
that doesn't violate the First Amendment.
That's my point. It has nothing to do with it.
But that's what I'm saying. The people on the Republican side who said, you should be able to say what you want publicly, now suddenly don't like when Jimmy Kimmel does because it's offensive to them. So their free speech protections, I guess, only extend as far as them.
No, they just want him to apologize and stop being a jerk.
Well, no, they're now investigating some of the licenses that the network, and they're calling on ABC to fire him. They're asking them to take action to fire him. And then, but I have a second point too, Harris, quickly, and it's, I hate all of this speech. I hate that people who are political opponents of Nancy Pelosi still make fun of Paul Pelosi, who had his head bashed in with a hammer. And the tweets about those Democratic legislators in Minnesota who were gunned down and murdered in their home, there are still tweets about them up. I hate all of it. I want all of it to stop. And I want us to stop saying this is a left problem or a right problem. And that's why, like, as we talk about this, I want it to all stop. All of it. All of the violence, all of that language.
Right now, it's a problem for the right because our president was shot as a candidate. He's had 2 other attempts on his life.
And
so right now it looks like potential
recently.
And that is true. And Josh Shapiro, the governor of Pennsylvania, the Mansion fire, so on and so forth. And that is true, I believe, in Minnesota for the Democrat and her husband and all of that. And I understand that. And political warfare really is that. So then why does the man who is leading in the House, Hakeem Jeffries, call it extreme warfare? Why does he want more of that? Because his words matter. And I agree, we need to come together, Marie, but we have to come together with the facts.
And the president
has had 3 attempts on his life.
He calls my party
enemies
of the
state. I expect your party, some of them, to stand up today and say no more. Well, one did. Don't try to kill this president again. We are not behind you. Well, one, we read her comments yesterday.
Marie, we could fill the rest of like daytime Fox News programming with the Nazi references and the threat to democracy.
And what President Trump has said about my party
over and over.
But also President Trump also does the same thing. We have to call it all out, Kayleigh, not just what you don't like.
Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube and catch full shows streaming now on Fox One.